Hello and welcome to episode 50 of the HamCorp Training Manual. In this episode, we expand our clean room, set up our new multi-block material processors, and after a certain incident, we start working on the full platline. In this episode, we only deal with Palladium. So after the Emergency Security Council meeting, I put together the multi-smelter, and I'm exporting limonite, banded iron, malachite, roasted iron, magnetite, cassiterite, galena, and chalcopyrite. There are probably more things I want to smelt, but I haven't encountered anything yet. So all of these, instead of electrolyzing, I'm just going to smelt them. And as you can see, there are a lot of input buses on this electrolyzer now. Anyway, my new long-term goal, well, kind of long-term, is to get the IV circuit assembler. To do that, I need iridium. And to get iridium, we need to progress down this quest line. So this starts here, actually, at the chemical reactions at IV. And apparently this is a checkbox quest, which is nice because I'm just going to use an LCR instead of a single block chem reactor. But we need to start processing this palladium enriched ammonia. If you remember, in the platline, we've just been storing this stuff. And also we have this platinum residue dust that has just been sitting here. So these two kind of byproducts of the original platline need to be processed further, and that is the rest of the platline. And to do that, I need to make more space, of course. So I'm going to lower this floor. But before I do any of that, I really need to make this industrial material press, 2 of them at least. And I also definitely need to make the wire factory and the industrial extrusion machine. So the controller block here is quite easy to make actually, but the material press machine casings need a new alloy, Tantalloy 60. And Tantalloy 60 is made from this mixer recipe with tungsten dust and tantalum dust. And for the wire factory controller, this is not too bad. The wire factory casing is just blue steel, so quite simple to make. Now the industrial extrusion machine though has some more new alloys. First of all, we need Inconel 690. This is made from chrome, niobium, molybdenum, and nichrome, which we have all of those, so this is not a big deal. Also, by the way, I also want to make another multi-block mixer because I have like a billion mixers in my autocrafting, but I'd like to turn them into a multi-block mixer because it's just faster. I'm going to gather up all of the blocks I need to build these multis, and I need to figure out where to put them. Actually, while I'm at it, I'm also going to do a big clean room expansion because, like, these are not ideal working conditions. So I'm going to expand the clean room. I think I'm going to kind of expand this lower section over here. It's a little hard to see with the snow, but this lower section over here. Basically widen this whole autocrafting building. I'll leave all of these where they are for now. I may remove them over time, but I'm gonna put these multis one layer below this. So I have a little bit of construction work to do and a lot of crafting. Remember how the clean room could have up to 5% of blocks being reinforced glass? I looked at the settings, or the config, and actually any of these Bartworks glass blocks, so the borosilicate glass blocks, the tungsten steel reinforced one, and so on, you can replace up to 50% of your plascrete with these. Decided I'm also going to upgrade to an IV diode and an EV energy hatch. I'm doing this IV diode preemptively because I know I'm going to have an IV circuit assembler in the future. So I have here a high amp transformer set to half mode, so this is putting out 2 amps of IV, but because one of those amps is reserved for the circuit assembler, I have just a regular transformer to transform down back into EV. Now we can place our first IV cable, which is a platinum cable. I've migrated all of the clean room machines in here, and there's plenty of space for more. Oh cool, very happy with this. This looks really nice. And down here, I'm going to assemble the different multi-blocks. Actually, for the mixer, because this is a dual item and fluid input, we might have to do something special with this. Something similar to this LCR setup. So I guess I'll wait a little bit on this one. Just because I don't want to put in the brain power to figure that out right now. But here I have the wire factory controller. I've got 3 input hatches, or input buses, each with a different program circuit. I have my extrusion machine with 12 inputs. Each one is going to have a different setup, a different extruder shape inside of it. And up here with a little bit of wall sharing, we have a bending machine and a forming press. The forming press has 6 inputs. They will all be configured differently. And the bending machine has 4. These will also be configured differently. And we can do this because each input bus is independent of the others. So depending on which input bus you send the materials to, you get different outputs. So you can send an ingot to the 1 program circuit here, and you just get a 1x cable, or you could send it to the 16 program circuit, and you get a 16x cable. Obviously, this would have to be done in sequence. It's not going to work in parallel, but that's fine, because these are very fast. So let me hook these up, both to power and to applied energistics, and then we can do a little speed test. I've decided that in naming these interfaces, I'm just going to call these the multi-extruder, multi-wire mill, multi-bender, things like that, because these names are very long and I don't want to just say them over and over, but also I feel like an acronym is not enough information. Like there's so many acronyms in this game. So I'm just going to say multi-machine name, basically. I've named the different interfaces kind of like this, multi-extruder and so on. And now all I need to do is move all of the old recipes into these new machines. And also the extruder shapes and all of that. For these multis, I think I am going to use pattern capacity cards instead of more input buses because I'd rather save these potential input buses for more program circuits. This is going to make it cost more EU to run, but I imagine the discount that we're getting from using the multi will probably make up for it. Even if it doesn't, it's not a big deal. It's not like I'm constantly crafting, so it doesn't matter. All right, let's do a speed test. So let's try 1 stack of aluminum ingots in the old HV bending machine. Okay. And now let's try 1 stack of aluminum ingots in the EV multi-bending machine. Okay. Okay. I wish I did this 100 hours ago. Okay, now I just need to figure out what to do with all of these machines. Is there a reason to keep them now? Because the multiblocks are just so much better. Is that someone in the control room? The fuck? This is single player. Wait. That is a... What? How? Hello? I don't get it. Am I seeing things? Down the elevator, maybe? Okay, what the fuck? Dear employees, you may have seen some strange occult things going on at HamCorp lately. Rest assured that we are investigating this. Do not let this affect your productivity. Should you witness something strange or hear strange sounds outside of your office, lock your door and continue to work. Should a colleague go missing, please report their absence to HR immediately. If the colleague does not return within 3 working days, please let your friends and family know that we are hiring. Remember, it is normal to fear for your safety. However, it is not normal to allow that to affect your productivity. Now, back to the instructional manual. So here's an overview of the full platline. You can divide it up into a bunch of different sub-processing lines, and those are kind of just black boxes in this diagram, or green boxes. So we start on the left with platinum metallic powder dust and other inputs. This turns into platinum dust through the basic platline, and it also makes platinum residue dust and palladium enriched ammonia. We've covered this before in the previous platline episode. The palladium enriched ammonia is processed in the palladium line into palladium dust and a bunch of other garbage outputs. I mean, not garbage, but they're not platinum metals. The platinum residue dust is processed in the rhodium line to make rhodium dust, as well as leach residue dust. The leach residue dust we process in the ruthenium line to make ruthenium dust and rarest metal residue dust, which we process into osmium and iridium in their respective osmium and iridium lines. So it is quite a lot, but dividing it up into one section for each of these metals is probably the best way to go and a nice way to keep it organized. So today we will start with the palladium line, and if there's time, we'll also do the rhodium line. We are back in what used to be the ore processing basement. This is not really an ore processing subnet so much as it is a platline subnet now, so I might rename this on the P2P tunnel. But anyway, here's the original platline. Very good. It's all HV, but I think all the other lines I'm going to do in EV or above. So we're going to start with palladium, and I think before I start putting down any machines, I'm going to lower the floor over here. I originally liked the idea of having like a multi-step thing like this, but this floor is just a little bit too high. I think I might still do like a varying height type of thing, but this floor is going to go down maybe 1 or 2 blocks, maybe just one. One is probably fine, but I think I'm going to do 2 just to be safe. And I think I'm going to put the palladium section over here. All right, I have done a big cleanup. And if you notice, I've even removed one of the floors. Oh, I missed this bit. Just pretend you didn't see that. So now you walk into the ore processing building from outside. And now it's this weird, really spacious, kind of cool multi-layered structure. I like it a lot. I like this change. So this area right here is going to be where we do our palladium processing. In hindsight, I kind of wish I had the platline over here, the basic platline, because this is kind of the first thing you see. But I am not going to move all of this. So I'm just going to do the palladium stuff here. If there's space for more, I will do more, but I kind of doubt there's going to be space because I have looked at the palladium flowchart. Where to even start? Okay, so on this flowchart, blues are inputs, reds are intermediates, greens are machines, and purples are outputs. There's a lot of recycling going on here, and you can kind of split this into 2 sections. So let's deal with the bottom section first, actually, because it's a little bit easier to go through. So this is to make formic acid. Formic acid is not used for anything except for this. So I'm not going to make a dedicated line in the chemicals building. I'm just going to do it here. So we start all the way on the left with carbon dust and oxygen in an LCR that makes carbon monoxide. But this carbon monoxide we mix with sodium hydroxide. That will make sodium formate. Sodium formate we mix with sulfuric acid to make sodium sulfate, which we're going to recycle, and the formic acid itself. The sodium sulfate we combine with hydrogen to get sulfuric acid back, as well as sodium dust. And the sodium dust is combined with water to make the sodium hydroxide, and you get that hydrogen back. So there are a few loops going on here. But okay, so that's formic acid. And on the other side, we need reprecipitated palladium dust. To get to that, we start with palladium enriched ammonia, which is what we have from our platline. Over here, I have like a tilde, meaning approximate, because one of these steps is a chance output. So anything that has a tilde in front of it is the average value. So we take this 5600 palladium enriched ammonia and we combine it with 12,400 palladium enriched ammonia. This we're going to get as part of a loop, and that gives us 18,000 palladium enriched ammonia, and that is combined with 18 palladium metallic powder dust in an LCR. That's what gets us our reprecipitated palladium dust, but we also get 32 palladium salt dust. That we sift, you should get on average 95% back. And the PMPD, we use 18 of it as part of the previous step, and the remaining 12.4 approximately goes into an LCR with ammonia to make more palladium enriched ammonia. And that's the loop I was talking about before. So it's a little hard to visualize without a flowchart because you're recycling so many things. But at the end of the day, you're going to combine the formic acid with the reprecipitated palladium dust to get palladium dust. You also get some ammonia back, some ethylene, and some water. I'm going to void the water. I'm probably going to void the ethylene. I'm not totally sure about that. And the ammonia I'm going to try and send back into storage. The net result is for every 2,800 liters of palladium enriched ammonia you have, you'll get approximately 1 palladium dust. And that means we have about 1,000, close to 1,000 palladium waiting to be processed in the super tank. We could get lucky and get some more, but we could also get unlucky and get less. All depends on that one sifting step. So I'm going to go gather all of the machines, put everything together, and show you what's what. Okay, everything has been set up. Over here, the sifter and the two LCRs are for processing the palladium enriched ammonia into reprecipitated palladium dust. And this super cursed conglomeration of LCRs is for making formic acid, and it's also for combining the formic acid with the reprecipitated dust. So we get our final products here into this frame drawer, and I've used interfaces and storage buses for everything here. For the palladium metallic powder dust, because it has to go to two different places, what I've done is I've used a storage bus with a higher priority at the higher priority location, which is the chem reactor. And I've done something similar for palladium enriched ammonia. So we have our original byproduct storage still in the old platline, but we bring it here using an export bus. Not only that, this buffer tank over here is fed by this LCR. This is the LCR that uses the excess palladium metallic powder dust to generate more palladium enriched ammonia. To get this whole process going, however, you do need to supply an initial bit of palladium salt dust. According to the quest, 9 is enough, but I think for my setup to work correctly, I need 18. This recipe is quite bad. So definitely don't do this recipe beyond just this initial startup. It is necessary for the startup, but besides that, you should never need to use this recipe. I'm just going to use this single block chem reactor to generate my salt. Now this salt we put in the sifter, and then everything should get going. This is pretty fast, like I'm not even able to catch these things. Ah, there it is. Okay, and it's done. And okay, this is pretty fast. First 10 palladium, that was quick. There it is, palladium line. Let's just finish up these quests, grab some of these dusts. We will do the rest of the Platinum Group medals in the next episode. Thank you for watching this episode of the HamCorp Training Manual. In the next episode, we will continue working on the platline and hopefully finish all of it. Ideally, we will craft the first IV emitter and sensor. HamCorp would like to remind viewers that the platline is indeed complicated, and you should not feel bad for struggling to follow. However, if you are struggling to follow, you can still contribute. We assure you that we will find alternative uses for your biomass. See you next time.